Well, I want to say right off the bat, don't be alarmed. You're not listening to the wrong show. This is Thinking Out Loud with Dr. Joe Courier, and what you're listening to is the intro music for WellinWorld. It's the brand new series for children and for, let's say, the young at heart as well. 13 audio screen-free episodes filled with life lessons and entertainment and adventures. I'm so excited to be able to have this conversation today with Dr. Joe about WellinWorld, and we'll be sharing some preview clips in this episode as well. You'll definitely want to stick around for that. But before we get started, Dr. Joe, great to see you. Talk to me. What is a WellinWorld for those of us that haven't heard?
Andrew, years ago, I started to play around with the idea that it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And the idea there was, in therapy, for example, I saw so many people who were carrying injuries from the past. They were so busy climbing that success ladder, they forgot this little thing called the I, the me. I saw that we left certain critical parts of the self behind. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. I remember thinking, boy, wouldn't it be incredible if you and I could grow back down into those joyful, playful feelings and experiences? And that's where I started to think, well, what if we started to see this imaginary group of kids who used to be neighborhood children, but because of this story, this WellinWorld story, they ended up living their lives very differently.
I love that place of authenticity that you're coming from, and being able to reach back into your childhood and say, I wish I was able to have a conversation on my level about what was actually going on there. And yet you felt like there's an opportunity here for us to really correctly communicate with people. And I love that we don't shy away from these topics. There are things such as the death of a loved one, or illness that somebody's dealing with, or even just like really simple things like indecision. How do you make a choice? Let's actually go ahead and play one of these clips here. This is Garbedian. He's a neighborhood kid, just a child like you or me when we were growing up, and he's interacting with one of these WellinWorld characters in their universe, a Wellin by the name of Gono, who is having trouble making a choice.
Should I give this silly jump rope to Ruthie or Jose? I'd better hurry and make up my mind. They're both going to be here soon.
Suddenly, a burst of lights flash, and a loud crash out of the forest like a stampeding elephant. Garbedian is startled and hides behind the fallen tree trunk.
Wow! What is that?
Orange, green, and blue lights burst out again through the bushes, branches, and leaves surrounding the neighborhood boy. A short Wellin elder with a spectacular, super-duper popping, percolating hat and a long purple robe comes walking slowly out of the forest. He seems deep in thought, and his headgear is filled with large chunks of colored crystals that sparkle and pop. One explosion after another flares up like fireworks on the 4th of July. Garbedian can barely believe his eyes. The Wellin elder is talking to himself.
Yes? No? What should I do? Go? No? Stay? No way. What can I say?
Dr. Joe is so wild and so imaginative. So we have Gono also having trouble deciding something, and we get to find out a little bit more about what that is. Talk to me about how these characters emerged for you.
Some of them were kids that I actually grew up with, and if I mention their names, I'm going to have to start sending them royalties. But I started to see some of them are playful characters in my life. The kid who was just very joyful no matter what happened. He always had this smile on his face. Or somebody who, no matter what you did, all of a sudden would melt down into tears and, was always a broken heart. And so some of them were actually kids that, as I was growing up. The other was my own imagination. I would sit down and play with the characters as we started to build a story to try and create a theme that could be a teaching point or a lesson for someone that they could experience the thoughts, and mostly importantly, the feeling and mindset that we try to create in our stories.
Dr. Joe, talk to me more about why is this so important to you? I mean, to have a conversation with something that is as delicate as death of a loved one or childhood illness or indecision or anger or, there's so many, or fear or courage. There's so many different subjects that, you could have just kind of settled for entertainment and it would have been great. Why trying to tackle some of these things in an educational and informal way?
Yeah, well, one of the things I also want them to start learning, the lessons they've learned on their journey. We hear this thing called PTSD, that people who have gone through some rougher parts of life, they end with post-traumatic stress disorders. When we talk about PTM, post-traumatic momentum, what did you learn in that situation that might take you into new adventures? Yes, there's pain over here, but do I want to sit there? It's like having that in a memory album and carrying that album with me, always looking at it versus you don't just survive. We want you to prosper. We want you to learn and go beyond that with those men and women who surround you in this thing called family or partnership, etc.
I want to dig a little bit deeper into that, but first let's do another preview. This is Garbedian. He's just had way too much sugar at a birthday party, and unfortunately it's bedtime. So I think it's going to be messing with his dreams just a little bit. Take a listen. The room began to spin, and Garbedian imagined that he was sliding down a long tunnel. Lights flashed by him as he picked up speed. It felt like he was riding a roller coaster, floating up and down on a sea of colors. And finally, he came to rest. He opened his eyes and found himself on a large flat surface that looked like a table. Nearby, there were some very strange creatures whose bodies were shaped like boxes. And then, somebody gently slipped her hand into his.
Don't be afraid, Garbedian. I'm here with you.
His Wellin friend Apton smiled at him and gave his hand a little squeeze.
Apton, where are we? Who are those creatures?
You're in Sugarland, and those creatures are cubes. That big one over there is Sweetie, their leader.
Okay, hit the cake!
The big cube yelled. Oh man, Garbedian's in trouble in this one, I can tell. Giant sugar cube and tiny swarms of sugar cubes in a dream world. I think that spells trouble probably for him. Talk to me more about why the entertainment angle, though. It is immersive, but why not just tell people straightforward? These are the lessons we want you to learn.
Well, one of the things that we do is the concept of lecturing from mom and dad. One of the things that we try to do is learn how to listen. And part of the story message is that as we watch, letting the child lean into it with the images that the words help create, but they take into their own lives and experiences, and going forward with that. And being able to then craft that into not just the now, but into the tomorrow. What's the next opportunity that you're facing? One part of my life, I was always struggling to grow up, to be successful. But later on, I decided to grow down. And I think it's in that the second to last thing here. Mm-hmm. Grow back down again. Why? I want to blend in with nature. I don't have to stand above it. And I want to make sure that I keep that spirit of the child, the healthy, vibrant human being who is so optimistic. It's never, ever, the sun is always going to come out behind the next cloud.
Dr. Joe, thank you again for sharing so much of this with us and so much of your authentic life with us as well. To folks that are listening, we have a special discount code for you just to try out WellinWorld. It's a podcast. If you put in code podcast at checkout, we'll have a discount for you there. And you can purchase all 13 episodes of It's a Wellin World at itsawellinworld.com or drjoecourier.com and click on Audio Stories for Children at the top right there. We'd love it if you give it a listen, and we'd be so honored to hear what you think. And with that does it for us here for this episode of the Dr. Joe Courier podcast, Thinking Out Loud. Leadership transformation, growth acceleration.